Hello and welcome to Friday Double Bill, the show where we analyze and evaluate the latest films from Bollywood and Hollywood to help you make a more informed choice at the movies. I'm Fahad Samar and this is Mayank Shekhar.
Well, it's a big weekend in the theaters for one big reason. It's called Avengers 2. It's also one of those rare weekends where, we're not talking about a Salman Khan movie or a Shah Rukh Khan movie. And in fact, Akshay Kumar movie chose not to come into theaters because that's how Hollywood can become sometimes. So that's the big release that we'll be looking at. Avengers Age of Ultron, followed by the Hindi release, that's Jai Ho Democracy. We'll also go back to last week. There was Mr. X that's still playing in the theaters. And of course, we'll be taking a look at the new releases so far as trailers are concerned. Tanu Weds Manu Returns and ABCD 2.
When Tony Stark tries to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go awry and Earth's mightiest heroes are put to the ultimate test as the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. As the villainous Ultron emerges, it is up to the Avengers to stop him from enacting his terrible plans, and soon uneasy alliances and unexpected action pave the way for a global adventure. Writer-director Joss Whedon returns to helm the sequel to the original Avengers, which features an all-star cast that includes Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and James Spader as the voice of Ultron.
Fahad, I don't need to tell our viewers this, and certainly not you this, but how these superheroes, and it doesn't even need to be Avengers, but any of them are the modern day religion so far as America is concerned, and from America so far as the American popular culture is concerned, and Indian viewers also. So one has to be really, really careful what one says because it's almost bordering on blasphemy sometimes. So kind of know where I'm heading at. I also don't want a death wish. In fact, there was a critic so far as the last, the Batman film was concerned who actually got a death threat for not liking that film. So I don't want to be a party pooper for two reasons. One, of course, is we have some really great performances from some really great actors. In a superhero movie, earlier in the day, we didn't really need great actors, but now we're dealing with Robert Downey Jr. of the world, who's Iron Man, and almost leading the pack in some form. So I love the performances, but it was exactly what I expected, which is not my scene.
Well, Mayank, what did you expect? Obviously, you've got state-of-the-art CGI, incredible action sequences. In fact, Industrial Light and Magic developed a new technology of motion capture with the help of the great Andy Serkis for this film.
Yeah.
So it's pushing the envelope as far as all the technology is concerned. You've got, last week we saw Fast and Furious 7, with some edge of seat excitement and thrills. Obviously, this one gives you all of that. You've got Hulk, you've got Iron Man in a combat with Hulk. You've got kind of insane fantastical pieces. In fact, what I thought is that the real hero of the film, in a film that is peppered with superheroes, is the director Joss Whedon, because he manages to juggle all of them and yet give them enough screen time, enough of an emotional arc, and some of the best sequences are when there is no action, when they are having banter, there's a little bit of frisson, some sexual chemistry between the female and male superheroes, all of that. So I thought it was beautifully put together, and I certainly didn't have the kind of misgivings that you did.
Well, it's not a question of misgivings. It really boils down to what is enough and how much is enough. Sometimes, guys like me start looking at a plot of a film like this, and then you're looking at an anti-hero who is not charming enough so far as I'm concerned. The MacGuffin the pointless plot around which everything is centered, but why this anti-hero, who's a Frankenstein's monster created by Iron Man, of course, wants to destroy the world because he doesn't like human beings, and why he doesn't like human beings is not very clear to me. But then we've seen films of this nature with worse plot than this picture, so I'm not really holding it against that, but not my scene.
See, this is Marvel's absolute super evil plot to dominate the world, and in that you have all kinds of things as the MacGuffin, as you said, but it's also, as you see, there's the various, these powerful gems are being retrieved. So it's all leading to a much bigger mega
Right.
macro picture as far as these films are concerned. So there is a semblance of plot and plot development, you know, and a
Semblance,
fanboy
yes.
will tell you that yes, it's all coming to fruition eventually, maybe in 2020, nowhere before that for sure. Meanwhile, milk it for all it's worth. 34 million views on the first day itself on YouTube of the trailer. It goes to show this is just the big mega you know, film, the blockbuster. Obviously people are going to go out and watch it, but you know, who's going to stop them?
Well, Fahad, I don't know how terribly not the demographic of this film am I, because the best moments that I found in this film are when the actors or these superheroes make real conversations. And that usually you don't see in a picture when they're trying to give everyone as much footage as they possibly can. So those moments where they're slightly emotional, where they're looking at things beyond annihilation and destruction, are the points that I actually liked about the film in an oh my god sort of way, because I wasn't expecting so much of it. At least, well, there could have been more of it, to be fair. But I need to make this very, very clear that at the beginning of this picture is what I missed, and I'm told that that really sets the audience up for the kind of, you know, special effect sequences and again destruction that we're likely to see towards the end, of course, which is the last 30 minutes. So was that your oh my god moment? Is that something that I really missed? Because I'd like to go and catch it again if it's worth it.
Well, certainly, yes. I mean, you know, these are the things where these directors are so good at what they do, and Joss Whedon as a writer-director. So there's lots of smart lines. There's also lots of fantastic action sequences. So obviously, you kick off with a bang, the way that you do in the you know, truest tradition of an action film, and then the audience is like, wow, oh my god, and then, you know, you take it through its crusts and you know, troughs, and that's really the rhythm of the film. I thought it was very nicely paced. For 2.5 hours long, this is probably one of the longest action hero films
As long
in a
as
long
Avengers
time.
1, by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
minute's difference,
Right.
so that is if you want to quibble about timing. But I think
That's what happens with twins, isn't it? They come out just a minute later.
Exactly. But I tell you, with what I really found fascinating was and superbly impressive was the voice of James Spader as Ultron. He's just so good, and he had to put on no accent, no voice modulation, nothing. He just played it as James Spader, and I thought he was sensational. And when you've got an ensemble cast of 6 heroes, actors who each one have shouldered, you know, big box office blockbusters, this guy, just as the voice of Ultron, really did it for me. Oh my god.
Well, if American superheroes is the modern religion, I think the fanboy is the new fanatic. As I said before, Fahad, I don't need a death wish on my head. This is not my scene. I think there's far more destruction that I could possibly take for 2.5 hours. But hey, God knows people want to watch it. The last one collected $1.5 billion, which is the 3rd highest ever in American movie history. This one might just go as far. Those who need to watch it will watch it anyway. There's a critic-proof film. I refuse to rate it.
Well, I'm certainly a purveyor of both intelligent cinema and completely senseless cinema. I think this actually falls in the category of the former. This is a well-made film with wit, with humor, with all the trappings of a great blockbuster. I mean, Fast and Furious, I couldn't imagine in my wildest dream that I would have liked that film. It ended up making 100 crores in India itself. I wonder what is going to happen with this, but Bollywood, watch out, because these are films that are a dekho, they are on IMAX pe dekho, 3D pe dekho, or isi weekend pe dekho.